Security and privacy are more important than ever. People are constantly dealing with sophisticated cyber attacks, such as the one we saw recently. Businesses also need to adapt to shifts in the policy and technology landscape, such as the EU's new General Data Protection Regulations, which establishes a new set of security and privacy requirements for organizations to meet by May 25th, 2018. From cyber threats to emerging policies and regulations, Microsoft is putting our people and our technology to work for you.
Our mission to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. Trust is at the core of this. And we're taking a principled approach with strong commitments to make sure that our customers can trust digital technology they use. When it comes to privacy, we will ensure your data is private and is under your control. When it comes to compliance, we will manage your data in accordance with the law of the land. We will be transparent about the collection and the uses of data and ensure that all your data is secure. These are the 4 strong commitments that we will make in everything that we do.
Thank you for joining us today for a discussion on trust, privacy, and the General Data Protection Regulation, oftentimes referred to as GDPR. I'm Julia White, Corporate Vice President at Microsoft. Today, I'm honored to be joined by thought leaders on these topics. We have a lot to discuss today, so let's get started. With Microsoft's President and Chief Legal Officer, Brad Smith.
Thanks. We appreciate that one of your biggest challenges of the coming year is to adapt to changing privacy regulations. As we work with customers around the world to digitally transform their businesses through the power and scale of the Microsoft Cloud, we understand that they are entrusting with us one of their most valuable assets, their data. That's why it's imperative that we live up to the high responsibility we have as a company and share what we're doing with you to safeguard your data and privacy. Whether it be building security and privacy controls directly into our products, improving our systems with insights we gain from our cybersecurity work, or fighting for our customers' privacy rights, we believe that Microsoft is uniquely positioned to offer the highest standards of security, privacy, and compliance anywhere in the industry. We've instituted a set of concrete privacy principles that shape the way we build our products and services. And Microsoft is committed to the highest level of standards conformance and regulatory compliance. We provide the most comprehensive set of compliance offerings of any cloud service provider to help our customers comply with national, regional, and industry-specific requirements governing the collection and use of individuals' data. This includes the landmark General Data Protection Regulation, the GDPR, that goes into effect on May 25th, 2018. We believe the GDPR is an important step forward for clarifying and enabling individual privacy rights. And while it's a regulation for Europe, in fact, it is rapidly emerging as a new standard for the world. Our support for the GDPR stems from the fact that it so closely aligns to our own commitments to security and privacy. We're re-engineering our own systems and we're preparing our business for GDPR compliance, and we're committed to helping our customers do the same thing. Make no mistake, the GDPR sets a new and higher bar for privacy rights, for security, and for compliance. And while your journey to GDPR may seem challenging, Microsoft is here to help all of our customers around the world. Back to you.
Thanks, Brad. It's helpful to understand how Microsoft is both ensuring our services meet the GDPR requirements, as well as the way our cloud technology can help our customers do the same. For those of you who are not familiar with the GDPR, it's a set of roughly 160 requirements that help ensure the data privacy of residents in the European Union. The regulations range from requiring organizations to have a designated data protection officer to other requirements like a 72-hour notification for data breaches. The GDPR goes into effect a year from now on May 25th, 2018. Because of the scope of these requirements, it is essential that all companies doing business in the European Union begin their planning now if it's not already underway. Today, we'll talk about what Microsoft is doing to meet this new regulation and how we can support you in meeting the GDPR requirements as well. We'll then speak with industry experts to learn more about how you can help ensure your organization's data is meeting the requirements and some suggested steps your organization can take towards meeting this new regulation. Let's start with trust and our GDPR commitment. Microsoft established our trust principles nearly a decade ago, and trust is a core value of everything we do. Today, Microsoft leads the industry in our work on data privacy, compliance, and technology responsibility. With regard to compliance, the Microsoft Cloud has more third-party attestations than any other cloud provider in the world. And we've led the industry in fighting for and holding to privacy laws around data access. In February of this year, we announced that our cloud services will be GDPR compliant by May 25th, 2018. This includes Office 365, Dynamics 365, Azure, Azure Data Services, and Enterprise Mobility and Security, and of course, Windows 10. And we've backed up that with our contractual commitments. Over the next year, we will add GDPR controls to our cloud services and products, with audits verified by third parties where necessary. As compliance is a shared responsibility, we'll help you attest that you are using services compliant with the GDPR. Our continued deep investments in our track record can help give you the peace of mind you need on your journey to GDPR compliance. Now let's talk about the power of our innovation, specifically artificial intelligence. And today at Microsoft, we're applying to not just some of the toughest security challenges, but now also to data privacy issues. Now, what does this mean? It means we take the power of Microsoft's intelligent security graph and built-in sensitive information recognition capabilities and apply them to the GDPR requirements to help you ensure data privacy. For example, advanced data governance in Office 365 helps you discover and delete personal data to support the GDPR requirement around right to be forgotten. Another example is using Azure Information Protection to classify GDPR-related information with tags so that a GDPR compliance policy can easily be applied to it. We realize that getting to GDPR compliance means tackling more than just technology challenges. And that's why we've built a community of experts that you can leverage on your journey to GDPR compliance. The community will blend knowledge of privacy best practices with deep IT capabilities to help you build a comprehensive GDPR plan. You'll be able to connect with these experts in digital forums and events and other engagements. Over the course of the next year, you'll also hear from Microsoft experts as we move to address Microsoft's internal GDPR needs. And finally, we're leveraging our strong partnerships to help customers. Shortly, you'll hear from two of the largest professional service firms in the world, Accenture and EY, and how they stand ready to help you on the GDPR journey. We're here to make sure you have access to the right resources to help you while you navigate the privacy and security topics related to the GDPR. Microsoft is on this GDPR journey right along with you. And based upon our own experience, we recommend that you begin your journey to GDPR compliance by focusing on 4 key steps. First, it's about discovery. Identify what personal data you have and where it resides. Second, management. Govern how personal data is used and accessed. Third is protection. Establish security controls to prevent, detect, and respond to vulnerabilities and data breaches. And fourth, it's about reporting. Keep required documentation, manage data requests, and provide data breach notifications. Now let's invite Kamal in to walk us through some examples of the intelligent capabilities we have in Office 365 and Azure today, which can help you on your GDPR journey. Kamal, let's take it away.
Thanks, Julia. So here, what I'm going to do is create a new search that will help me find all the sensitive data within my organization. I'm going to title it, and I'm going to choose to search everywhere. So this is within Exchange and SharePoint. It's going to find any sensitive data or personal data associated with my keywords. And here you see the power of the sensitive data type classification. I type in sensitive type and enter German passport number. This will now find any information that manages that regular expression within the corpus of Office 365 data.
Wow, all in one place.
Exactly. And so this works if you're doing it one time. If
Sure.
I actually want to do an e-discovery query and find this content. However, most of our customers actually want to do it on a recurring basis.
Of course.
When new data comes in, they want to be able to create a policy. So what we've got to enable that is, using advanced data governance, we've recently released the capability to create labels and then to apply these labels both automatically to content as well as with end users. So here what I'm going to do is I've created a set of labels for this organization. As you can see over here, I've got EU PII. And I'm going to choose to auto-apply this label. I'm going to select the label that I just referenced. Here, EU PII. I will be adding it to content. And what I'm going to choose to do is apply that label to any information in Office 365 that contains that particular regular expression that matches EU PII. So as you can see, we have over 80 built-in sensitive types within the service. And you can also extend it by uploading your own fingerprint of a document that will then be detected and classified within the organization. So here, I'm going to create this policy and choose to apply it. So now, we've actually got good governance. An administrator has gone in and created a good policy that allows them to actually manage their data. But we do have the challenge of bad governance, where either an incorrect policy is created or a policy that is out of date.
Okay.
So what we've also built into Office 365 is built-in alerts and anomaly detection. What we've got over here is any time for your organization there is an unusual volume of data deleted or shared or preserved, what we actually do is alert you by default. And since this is based on your regular baseline of usage, we're able to customize this for your environment.
Oh, fantastic.
And so what that means is the issue with actually sharing data externally that you're not supposed to, if it's PII, we can alert you before it ever becomes visible or available to anyone else.
That's so important.
And finally, you mentioned that because this is GDPR, there is a responsibility to report on everything.
Absolutely.
So one of the capabilities that we are actually also providing is the Audit Log Search. So within Office 365, every single action taken on the service, whether by a tenant admin or by one of your admins or a Microsoft administrator, what we're able to do is then take that action and give you a record of all of it. You're also able to export this content outside the service so that you can maintain a check and a balance on what is happening within Office 365. So here, you saw I created an e-discovery query. I'm actually able here to select all e-discovery activities and do a search. And what this gives me a list of is any action taken on data that is specific to a user or specific to sensitive type. Now, these labels and capabilities can also be applied by an end user. While we know that the system will automatically apply them to you, there are certain cases where you want your end users to manually apply that content. Sure. So what you have within Outlook is that ability to assign policy, or those labels I created, are available to every single end user to apply.
And even here in the browser, as you said.
Exactly. And then similarly, you have that capability within SharePoint. So
awesome.
Those labels that you created in one place within the Security and Compliance Center are available to apply in Exchange, SharePoint, or any of the Office clients.
So all of your content, email, documents as well.
Exactly. And so while this was advanced data governance, another really cool thing we're doing is bringing it together with Azure Information Protection. So we're going to be bringing Microsoft Information Protection that allows you to classify content and then take the action inline. So here's a very cool capability. If I'm in the experience of a Word document, I'm actually going to change this classification to confidential. And you can see the moment I did that, because an administrator had previously configured a label to set a watermark, it automatically appeared.
That was so easy. The user didn't have to do anything. It just happened.
Exactly. And so that protection actually travels with the document. And we will be bringing all that together for GDPR under Microsoft Information Protection.
Thanks, Kamal. Now, that really underscores how customers can use the cloud to meet GDPR requirements. This is just a small sample of the capabilities Microsoft offers today to help you meet your GDPR requirements. There's certainly more you can do today, and we're going to continue to innovate and introduce even more capabilities that will help you accelerate your journey towards GDPR compliance. Now, I talked about both panelists of experts and partners. Let's go ahead and talk to some of them now. I'm joined today by a distinguished panel of experts on the topic of privacy and the GDPR. Please welcome the President for the Centre of Information Policy Leadership, based in London, Boyana Bellamy. The leader for Accenture's Security Financial Services in North America and Accenture's Global Lead for Cyber Regulation, Valerie Abend. EY's America Leader for Data Privacy, responsible for helping multinational clients address global privacy, Angela Saverice-Rohan, and Microsoft's own Chief Privacy Officer, Brendon Lynch. Welcome, and thank you for joining this discussion on GDPR today. Bojana, why don't we start with you and get your perception on the GDPR and what it's trying to achieve and how will people benefit?
First of all, thank you very much for having me here and speaking with Brendon and all of you. And hello from rather rainy and grey London. So GDPR is really all about two things. One, it is all about rules and obligations for organizations, public and private ones, who are using data about people. But it is also about rights of people, rights of individuals like you and me. And in some ways, it reinforces a trajectory that we have been seeing in global privacy law and policy, where privacy and security have become really important, but it also raises the bar. It raises the stake to a new level. As you know, in Europe, privacy is a fundamental right, so it's a matter of law and compliance in so many countries. But I think what GDPR also does is it kind of reminds us that this is also a business imperative. First of all, every business has to protect its data. It is the most important asset that we all have, and as such, it is critical for companies to ensure the data is used responsibly, protected at all times, no matter where data is, and no matter if it is shared with third parties, no matter if they move globally and also in the cloud, right? And the second point, we also have to make sure that in this digital world, the fourth industrial revolution, we are also able to use data, to leverage data for data-driven innovation, for new products, new services, benefits to society, benefits to people. And that is really what GDPR is also trying to hopefully achieve, enables us to do more with data in a way that is responsible and accountable.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, I think, Bojana, your points about the individual rights, the organizations being accountable, and knowing there's the backing of these laws will enable them to trust it more, trust the technology, trust the organizations they're dealing with, to be very respectful of their privacy.
Absolutely. And thank you for mentioning trust. I think this is really critical because the path of this digital world is digital confidence and trust. And Brendon, it's not just about people, right? It's also about trust in the ecosystem. It's trust in your business partners as well. So it's both B2B and B2C. If there is no trust in the way we manage information and data and in the way our partners manage our data, then that's probably the end of digitalization and also these global and digital business processes.
Great perspective. Now, Valerie, I'd like your take on this as well.
Thank you, Julie. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here with you all today. It really is an important conversation to engage in as we're going to be quickly approaching, before you realize it, the final implementation dates of GDPR. And really, the point here is about digital trust and seeing privacy as a personal right. The way in which everyone is interacting with their customers has completely changed and evolved. And that landscape has to keep up with it in terms of how you interact with them to enable that digital trust. I can say as a mom, I'm looking at how my kids actually in this world of technology share their information, not only with family and friends, but actually already with different companies. And it makes me actually inspired to want to see our companies evolve and how they demonstrate the way in which they're being good corporate citizens for their information over time.
Now, Angela, I'd like to get your perspective on the role of the cloud in meeting GDPR compliance, as well as any advice you have for companies on how they think about the risks associated with GDPR.
At EY, we believe one of the key ways to rapidly mature your compliance and your readiness for the GDPR is to move into the cloud. The potential fines around this regulation, which range from 2 to 4% of a company's annual revenues or their turnover, really makes the GDPR an enterprise risk. And it also elevates privacy in the same way that we've seen cybersecurity elevated over the last few years. This means that clients have to really start to think about what are the processes they need to put in place. What's the continual monitoring and reporting to their board of directors that they also will need. Companies need to understand we are less than 1 year away from the effective date. And certainly there should be a sense of urgency amongst them in order to meet this regulation.
That's some really good advice. Now, switching gears a bit, Brendon, as Microsoft's Chief Privacy Officer, it'd be great if you could share how Microsoft is preparing for the GDPR.
Sure, happy to. First, it's important to, I think, recognize we have two distinct roles. One is in our role as a data controller, where we are the controller of data, for example, from our consumer customers or our employees. And the second role is as a data processor, where we host and store data on behalf of our commercial customers. And there's differences how you implement in both. But where we began was last summer to translate all the legal requirements into business and technical requirements, look at all the processes we have in place. We've had a comprehensive privacy program in place for Microsoft for 20 years now and been improving on that over time. But there is some more to do. So we've identified additional work we need to do, and we've now got multiple work streams in the company going about that. So it's very much about understanding the requirements, the gaps, having the implementation plans, and then specifically in our commercial cloud, it's making sure that our products and services are going to be compliant in time, and we've made strong commitments to do that, as well as helping our customers comply with additional tooling and the like to be able to make their journey to GDPR compliance easier.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, at Microsoft, we're seeing an accelerated adoption of the Microsoft Cloud as customers are increasingly realizing that compliance is frankly easier in a cloud environment. Now, technology is only part of the solution, however. Now, Angela and Valerie, what are your customers asking you to help them with, specifically when it comes to the GDPR? And what are some of the services that you provide? Let's start with Angela.
Absolutely. So many clients are coming to us right now around the GDPR, asking us to help them formulate a plan, to help them consider what implementation may look like, what's the right sequencing of activities, the right prioritization. Also, what does operationalization look like? These are all things that EY can help with. We bring a very specific optic to the GDPR. We've designed our methodology around three primary business drivers for our clients: data enablement, process optimization, and risk management. We know those are very important values that our clients are seeking and something we need to consider all the way through their GDPR compliance journey. We look at the GDPR as an enterprise risk, and what that means is that we need to help our clients assess it across the three lines of defense for their business. The first line in their business processes and operations, the second line in legal risk and compliance, and lastly in the third line, the internal assurance function. Ultimately, EY will be providing recommendations on the very specific controls that our clients can implement in their environment to achieve compliance. We also know that GDPR is a people, process, and technology challenge, and so all of our recommendations and our work ultimately looks at the people, process, and technology aspects, understanding if they are not part of the solution, that our clients will ultimately have a non-sustainable solution, and that's not what anyone wants. Lastly, I would say that the GDPR and privacy compliance, they're truly not the end game for our clients. They're important, but they're part of a broader value proposition that our clients are seeking, specifically around something we call information superiority. And what that means is having the right data at the right time and for the right purpose. Now, in order to do that, you need to have trust in the compliance and the privacy and the security around that data. And that's why EY has partnered with Microsoft to collaborate on solutions that bring information superiority to our clients.
Yeah, now if I could add, I think that last point is really important. It's very tempting and easy to think of this as a risk and compliance domain, because it is. But when you think about the work that needs to be done to get greater handle on all your data and more control and governance, there may well be other opportunities that can be unlocked for the organization to, at the same time, think about this world-class asset that data is today, given it's driving so much innovation, and use these investments you might be making for GDPR to also get additional value for the utility of data in your day-to-day business.
Really helpful perspective and looking at it very holistically. Valerie, how about your perspective on this one?
Well, Julia, our customers are really moving beyond the assessment phase. They've identified where their gaps are, and the hard work starts now. And so they're depending on Accenture to help them as a strategic partner implement the changes that not only get them in compliance, but actually help them with data lifecycle management over time now and into the future. We surveyed over 400 CIOs and CTOs from around the world last fall. And when they talk to us about what are the number one risks that they're facing, they really look at the risk of how do they interact with their customers from a business strategic risk into the future. And certainly compliance is throwing some issues in their way in terms of their technology architecture. And so we are helping them from a technology, people, and process standpoint to get them into a way that actually changes this from a business strategic aspect over time, and not just to meet the deadlines that are in the compliance aspects of GDPR.
Got it. So not just looking to address the immediate GDPR requirements, but really a new durable approach for them to think about their business.
That's right.
One last question for each of you, and probably the most important question. What advice can you offer for those watching to help them get started or continue on their GDPR journey? Bojana, why don't we begin with you on that one?
We talked about one of the drivers for GDPR is to ensure there is a trust and digital confidence in the system, but also it also makes it hugely important that I, as an organization, work with a trusted partner, because ultimately I am always going to be responsible for my data. Organization that uses third parties always remains liable legally for their data. And of course, there is a legal liability on the service provider, but ultimately, I own the relationship with individuals, and I have to make sure that no matter where I put the data, no matter who touches it, no matter what third party provides services to me, that data is always protected. And this is a no small task, because if you ask organizations today, they work with thousands of providers. Some are large, some are small, some are very specialist, and many of them are across the world as well, where perhaps there aren't even data privacy laws. So this becomes a really important risk mitigation measure and important compliance measure to make sure that you use trusted third parties. So here are some things that might help in choice of these third parties. Certainly, I would be looking for third parties that have proven record in managing data privacy. So companies that have shown thought leadership, but also companies that are able to demonstrate that they have got appropriate safeguards, appropriate policies, measures, protections in respect of data that I entrust with them, and that can be done in many ways. You could check this through audits, you could check that through certifications, you could check that through questionnaires. But of course, as we scale up and the more and more organizations start using third-party service providers, I think the role of certifications has to grow. And frankly, GDPR actually provides for certifications to be used to deliver this trust. And so I do hope that there'll be more and more organizations using privacy and security certifications, because that really helps bring the trust in the system, in particular in the business-to-business context. You know that most procurement processes do require you to show that you're using a certified third party, and that comes from this ISO and the sort of security side. And so now what we need to do is kind of move from security certifications and security side to more privacy protections and certifications that actually deliver privacy. So certainly certifications of third parties, proven record of third parties, thought leadership, and commitment to data privacy. That really also matters. So, you want to work with a third party where they have got chief privacy officer, where the leadership talks about privacy, considers privacy as one of the commitments. And so it's a combination really of things that organizations look for. And then finally, of course, what matters is also during the delivery, how you manage, how you're able to work with these third parties, how are you able to have your privacy and security questions and concerns answered. So it is really an ongoing thing as well. Privacy isn't just a matter of contracts or showing it beforehand. As I said, privacy really is an ongoing compliance, it's an ongoing process.
Valerie, how about from you on this one?
I would stress three things. First, be holistic. Second, be innovative. And third, be sustainable. So from a holistic standpoint, it gets back to that notion of looking at this as strategic business opportunity where you bring together cross-functional teams, privacy, security, legal, compliance, and at the foremost of that, your business, because they're going to drive the demands around data, not just today, but in the future. And this leads me to my second point. And the way to enable that is to be innovative, to really lean in, to rotate to the new, to look at a way to simplify your IT architecture and some of your business processes and leverage what already exists to help you get in compliance, but also in a way that meets that changing landscape in how you interact with your customer and demonstrate that digital trust with them. And then the third part is sustainable. Really important that whatever you do isn't just about manual processes on the side of your desk to just show that checklist of compliance, but is sustainable over time, and to bring in your peers and talk with trade associations so that you're constantly and learning and evolving the way you approach it.
I think that's such fantastic perspective. Essentially, you're going to do this investment. You can treat it like a tax, or you can treat it like a true opportunity and invest in it in that holistic way. I think that's fantastic perspective. Now, Brendon, I'd love to hear your take on this as well.
Well, yeah, I've been talking to a lot of my counterparts at other companies, our key customers. They're definitely looking at how they can attack this strategically. I think there's also some beginning parts that some people are struggling with. Where is all my data, and what tools can I use for this? There's also, I think, some uncertainty about what the rules will actually mean when interpreted by the regulators. So I see a little bit of inertia in places, but generally people are really rallying around this, recognizing it's big. And I would say one thing that some organizations are struggling with, and it's very important to secure, is the top management support for this initiative, because it's a multi-discipline thing. You need your chief information security officer, you need your privacy person, you need the business owners of data to all be on board with a comprehensive strategy. So taking this comprehensive approach early, I think, is going to set people up for success a year from now.
Absolutely makes sense. It's not something you can just delegate down into the organization, but really top to bottom, people need to be lined up to make this happen across the organizations.
That's right, absolutely.
Makes a ton of sense. Now, Angela, for you, how do you feel about this one?
With less than 1 year to go around this regulation, we believe that the only reasonable path to achieve rapid readiness for compliance is to look for a solution that is going to promote sustainability and automation, and certainly will give you assurance that it's not a wasted tech investment. And for that reason, EY believes the best way to do this is to look at your legacy systems that hold personal data and move them into a cloud, like Microsoft offers.
Thank you, Brendon, Angela, Valerie, and Boyana. What an insightful discussion, and hopefully a very helpful one for you. I appreciate that GDPR can feel like a daunting journey, and I hope this discussion has helped make that journey easier. Microsoft is dedicated to helping you be successful. Thank you very much for joining us today, and to learn more, go to Microsoft.com/GDPR.